Greg Heffley has one, and we usually do the same stuff. Oh yeah, I should mention that me and Greg are best friends. I'm sure you're probably like, well, tell me more about this Greg guy. But my book isn't about him. It's about me. The reason I called my book Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid is because that is what my dad is always saying about me. Like I mentioned already, Greg is my best friend, which makes my dad my second best friend. But I don't tell him that because I don't want to hurt his feelings. Now that I brought up my dad, I should probably mention he doesn't seem to like Greg all that much. And the reason I get that feeling is because my dad is always saying, I do not like Greg. But that's not the only reason. But that's only because my dad really doesn't get Greg's sense of humor. Right now, you're probably thinking, hey, Rowley, I thought this book was supposed to be about you. Well, you're right. So from now on, I promise there's going to be a lot more Rowley in here. The first thing you need to know about me is that I live with my mom and my dad in a house at the top of Surrey Street, which is the same street my best friend Greg lives on. I already talked about my dad, but my mom is pretty great too because she feeds me healthy food and helps me keep my body clean. Every morning, I walk to school with my friend Greg. We usually have a total blast when we're together, but sometimes I do things that annoy him. But what really gets on Greg's nerves is when I copy him. So I'm probably not going to let him know about this journal because it's going to make him mad. Anyway, writing this book is a lot of work, so that's all I'm going to do for today. But tomorrow, I'll put a little more Greg in here because like I said, we're best friends. My second entry. Okay, so bad news. Greg found out about my diary. I guess I felt kind of proud of that I had my own journal and wanted to show him, but just like I predicted, it made him mad. Greg said I totally ripped him off and that he was going to sue me for stealing his idea. I said, well, go ahead and try because you're not the first person to write in a diary. Then Greg said, it's a journal, not a diary. And then he whacked me with my own book. I told Greg if he was going to be a jerk, then I wouldn't say nice things about him in my journal. Then I showed him what I wrote so far. At first, I seemed annoyed because I always forget to draw noses. He seemed annoyed because I always forget to draw noses on people. But then he said my book gave him an idea. Greg said one day he's going to be rich and famous and everyone will want to know his whole life story. And he said I could be the one to write it. I said, I thought that's what your journal is for. And he said that's his autobiography, but my book could be his biography. Greg said that there's going to be a lot of biographies about him one day, but he would give me the chance to write the first one. I thought that sounded like a good idea because I'm Greg's best friend and no one knows him better than me. So I'm going to start this book over with a new title and now the main character is going to be Greg instead of me. But don't worry, I'm still going to be in it a lot too. Diary of Greg Heffley by Greg Heffley's best friend, Rowley Jefferson. Early life. Most biographies about presidents and famous people start with a chapter called Early Life. Well, the problem with that is I didn't meet Greg until the 4th grade, so I don't know a lot about what happened to him before then. I've seen a few photos hanging on the walls in Greg's house, and from what I can tell, he was a regular baby. And if he did anything really important when he was little, you really can't tell from the pictures. Anyway, fast forward to right before the start of 4th grade, and now this biography is going to get a lot more detail. We used to live in a whole different state, but then my dad got a job and we had to move. My family bought a new house at the top of Surrey Street, and we moved in over the summer. The first few days, I didn't leave the house because I was scared about being in a new place. I know you're probably wondering, well, when is he going to meet Greg? But just wait, because I'm getting to that part. My mom said maybe I should try to make some friends, and she even bought me a book called How to Make Friends in New Places to help me do it. The book had all kinds of things, like knock-knock jokes to help a kid like me meet new people. But the tricks in the book didn't really work on Greg. Knock, knock, I said. Hey, I said knock, knock. Did you hear me say knock, knock? Mom, there's some weird kid at the door. Luckily, me and Greg became friends anyway. I told Greg I lived in a new house at the top of the hill, and he said that was kind of bad news for me. When our lot was empty, he planted a flag there, so now he owned my house plus everything in it. But later on, my dad told me that wasn't true, and then he went to Greg's house to get my bike back. I'm pretty sure that's the first time Dad told me what he thought about Greg. But I like Greg a lot. He is always doing hilarious things like making me laugh right after I take a big gulp of milk. Plus, Greg is always playing wacky pranks on me, and they usually make me laugh pretty hard too. So I'll bet you can tell why me and Greg have been best friends since 4th grade. I even got us a locket to make it official, but Greg says those things are for girls to wear, and that's why he won't wear his half. Well, I could probably fill up a whole book with all the zany things me and Greg do, but since this is his biography, I should probably write stuff about his family. Greg has a mom and dad just like I do, but they are pretty regular parents, so I don't have a lot to say about them. But Greg isn't an only child like me. He's got an older brother named Roderick, who has a rock band called Lotted Diaper. Some of their songs have swear words in them, so Mom and Dad won't let me at Heffley's house when Roderick has practice. Greg also has a little brother named Manny, who is only 3. And don't ask me, but the first time I went to Greg's house for a play date, Manny randomly pulled down his pants and showed me his hiney. Now, every time I see Manny, he acts like we have this big secret or something, which makes me feel uncomfortable. Anyway, I guess that wraps up the first chapter of Greg's biography. And if you're thinking, Rowley, when are we going to get to the exciting parts? Then just wait. The first time I had a sleepover at Greg's house. After me and Greg met, we had a few play dates at my house and a few play dates at his house. Oh yeah, I forgot. Greg doesn't like it when I call them play dates, so I will have to change that next draft, or else I'm going to get whacked again. Anyway, me and Greg hung out a lot at each other's houses. But then one day, he invited me to his house for a sleepover. I was pretty worried, because I'd never slept away from home before. In fact, I wasn't even sleeping in my own bed yet, because I was scared. I told my mom I was too nervous to stay at Greg's, but I got a little less nervous when she said I could take Carrots with me. When I got to Greg's, we played in his room for a while, but at 9 p.m., Miss Heffley said it was time to go to bed, and we had to sleep in the basement. Well, now I was super nervous because I think basements are really creepy. As soon as Mrs. Heffley turned the lights off, Greg said he needed to tell me something really important. He told me there's a half man and a half goat that lives in the woods in our neighborhood, so I probably shouldn't go outside alone at night. Well, I was really not happy to hear that news, and I really wish someone told my parents about this goat guy before we moved into the neighborhood. Anyway, the goat thing got me totally spooked, so I hid under the covers. But I think Greg got pretty spooked too, because he crawled under them with me. Then all of a sudden there was this crazy noise right outside the window, and it sounded exactly like a half man and a half goat would sound. Me and Greg didn't want to be eaten by the goat guy, so we got out of there as fast as we could. But we almost died anyway because we trampled over each other running up the stairs. We locked ourselves in the laundry room so the goat man couldn't get us, but that's when we found out it wasn't a goat guy at all. It was just Greg's brother, Roderick, playing a trick on us. Okay, this next part is embarrassing, but since it's a biography, I gotta tell the whole truth. I wet my pants when we were in the basement and heard those noises outside. Mrs. Heffley gave me an extra pair of underwear. They were too small, so my dad had to come get me and bring me home in the middle of the night. It was a long time before I was allowed to go to Greg's for another sleepover, but that's a much longer story, and I'm not even sure if there's room for that one in this book. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop there for today, and then we'll read some more next week. I want to ask you guys if you have ever read this book, or if you have a friend like Greg or a friend like Rowley. Leave your comments in the box below. I can't wait to hear from you guys. I want you to stay happy, healthy, and safe, and I'll see you soon.